Live from News Channel 8 in Tampa, Florida, this is Bucs Bonus on WFLA Now. Powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY.
For Brady and the Bucs, this is what it is all about. Playoff football. And first up in the repeat run, the gritty Philadelphia Eagles, who the Bucs saw earlier this season, this time coming into Raymond James Stadium seeking the upset over the number 2 seed, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hey there, everybody. JB Biunno here with you on Bucs Bonus, powered by 1-800-ASK-GARY, with, of course, Karen Loftus of WFLA Sports. Love when we have
the applause. We hadn't done that in a little while. I'm glad you brought it back.
I'm bringing the applause here for playoff football. I'm ready.
Playoff atmosphere here.
Yeah, and super psyched. We have a great matchup this Sunday at Raymond James Stadium. The Bucs, the number 2 seed, securing that number 2 seed. We talked about that last week on Bucs Bonus, how important it would be for the Bucs to get that second home game secured. Here we are, the Eagles coming into town. But really, the big storyline all season long on Bucs Bonus, Karen, has been the health of the Buccaneers. Do you have any good news, bad news to share as we look ahead to Sunday at 1 o'clock?
Depends on your perspective on it. I'd say it's good news, the fact that the Bucs have officially ruled out only 2 players. You have Cyril Grayson and you have Ronald Jones. Those are the 2 guys that have been officially ruled out. So 2 offensive guys, a running back and wide receiver. Then Bruce Arians said the rest of the guys are going to be game-time decisions. That means Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett, Leonard Fournette, Lavonte David, Giovanni Bernard. Those are the top guys that we're sort of looking at that he said are going to sort of, see how they look, in warm-ups and see if they can go on Sunday. But if those guys can go, they're going to go full speed. He said in particular, Lavonte David and Leonard Fournette are 2 of those guys that he mentioned. He said that he is least confident about those 2 guys coming back. He said the other guys, JPP, Shaq, they look good to come back. He feels very good about them coming back. But he said if Leonard Fournette comes back, he's going to get the majority of the carries, especially with Rojo out. He said he expects, as far as running backs go, for them to have 3 or 4 dressed and ready to go for Sunday.
So of the players that you just mentioned that we're not sure if they're going to be able to play on Sunday, who's the biggest dynamic game changer in your opinion? The one that you're going to be looking for, and the game sort of shifts if you're Nick Sirianni and the Eagles, knowing that player is active.
Gosh, I'm gonna go ahead and pick one on each side of the ball.
Okay.
Lavonte David and Leonard Fournette, because Lavonte David is such a role player, and not only does he have a direct impact on the game and how he plays, but there's a direct correlation with how Devin White plays. Devin White just plays better when Lavonte David is in there. Their run defense is better when Lavonte's in there. And you've seen their run defense numbers slack off a little bit in the last couple weeks with Lavonte David out. So I think that's going to be very important, especially if it's a rainy game, especially if we're talking about a lot of running the ball. We know the Eagles have the best rush offense in the NFL. So they need Lavonte very badly in that regard. And then speaking to the weather, speaking to running the ball, if that's the way we're going with the game plan based on the weather and wet conditions that we're expecting, Leonard Fournette, if he can come and just have a strong back to help solidify and establish that run game for the Bucs. So I think he's equally as valuable on the offensive side of the ball.
Leonard Fournette has a lot of nicknames, but I think the favorite is Playoff Lenny. Well, playoffs are here, and it would be great to have Leonard Fournette healthy and in there against the Philadelphia Eagles, a gritty team. All right, so what we're going to do, Karen, is we're going to bring this up here. We're going to go phases of the game, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to start here with quarterback play.
Okay.
All right, so starting here at the all-important quarterback position, we have, of course, 7-time Super Bowl champion, the GOAT, Tom Brady, going up against formerly of the Alabama Crimson Tide, one of several young quarterbacks in the league coming from the Alabama Crimson Tide. It's Jalen Hurts, who does a lot of he's very dangerous on the ground with his legs. What do you make of this matchup between Brady and Hurts?
Yeah, I think we've seen Jalen Hurts just really come into his own. I mean, this Eagles team is a different team than when the Bucs faced them in Week 6. But looking back to Week 6 and what the Bucs were able to do against Jalen Hurts, I mean, Shaq Barrett in particular was giving him a heck of a game. He was running him all around the field, just chasing him down. So I think the Bucs can handle Jalen Hurts. He's a very talented player, and he's definitely very dangerous with his legs. And he's really led this offense in rushing yards and has just really led them to come into their own. But then on the other side, you have Tom Brady, who's in the MVP discussion, which is a whole other thing. I'll do a Reader's Digest version of the MVP discussion, but Bruce Arians was asked about it earlier in the week. He said it would be a travesty if Tom Brady does not get league MVP. I mean, you talk about his numbers. 43 passing touchdowns to lead the league. He's leading the league in passing yards with more than 5,300 passing yards, leading the league in completions, which is amazing in itself. But then let's not forget he's 44 years old. So he's putting up these incredible numbers and doing it double the age of some of these other quarterbacks in the league. And Byron Leftwich was talking about it as well. He said he is just doing ridiculous things. Some of these guys, these quarterbacks that are 25 years old would die to have just one season like that. And Tom Brady has had 2 seasons in his career where he's thrown for more than 5,000 yards. And it's also the intangibles with Brady and how he elevates everybody else's play. And that's something that is very, very unique to him.
Good to see. I believe it was Brady and Tristan Wirfs making All-Pro, I believe I saw today.
Brady and Wirfs. So Brady was second-team All-Pro, and Tristan Wirfs
protecting
first
Brady.
Team. Yes.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
He's actually the first Bucs offensive lineman to earn All-Pro first-team honors, which is pretty cool.
Crazy. We'll hit the applause button. Crazy proud of course, All-Pro Tom Brady and Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs playing just well beyond his years, just in his second year in the league. Big Tristan Wirfs fan on the left side of your screen here, folks. Big Tristan Wirfs fan.
All right,
let's go on to the Brady himself is very much a coach on the field, but let's get to the coaches off of the field. You have Bruce Arians coming off his first Super Bowl last season with the Bucs. You have Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles. What do you make of the coaching matchup come Sunday at Raymond James?
Yeah, you have Sirianni, first-year head coach with the Eagles. He's sort of feeling his way out there, trying to gel with his team. Anytime you're in a first year with a team, I feel like there's some growing pains there, even at the end of the season when you have 17 games under your belt. But you have Bruce Arians, and I know that he trusts his coordinators and the staff around him. And he will give credit to Todd Bowles on the defensive side of the ball and Byron Leftwich on the offensive side of the ball and all of the other assistant coaches that come together underneath Bruce Arians on game day to really make those decisions. So I think Bruce Arians has a really good feel for his personnel, and especially because they've had to put different pieces in, they really do have a feel for the personnel, how to use them and put them in the best situations possible.
Let's go on to the next one. I think that Bruce Arians is feeling pretty good about his football team. Maybe health aside, feeling pretty good about his football team entering Sunday against the Eagles. All right, what do we have up next? I'm actually not sure what's next in the queue. We just talked about quarterbacks. We just talked about
we just have 2 in the queue.
We only have 2 in the queue.
Guys.
I think we have to add some more. So let's add this here on the fly. I think that next up we do have there's defenses, running backs, and wide receivers.
Okay.
Let's load them up. Doing this on the fly here, folks.
Yeah.
And there is next up. Defenses. All right, let's talk defenses.
Okay.
Row your boat is certainly fun to see when the Buccaneers score a defensive touchdown. Eagles D really led by their cornerback play by Darius Slay there on the bottom of your screen. Brady, the Bucs, going to try to pick apart that Eagles D. What do you think of this defensive matchup come Sunday? Yeah,
and looking at what the Bucs have, I think the biggest thing you're talking about with the Bucs defense is the health there and getting those key players back. They battled early on with some of the players in their secondary out, and then their secondary got healthy, and then you had some of their linebackers go out with injuries too. But I think just being able to get JPP back and Shaq back is a really big thing. And of course, hopefully Levante David for the Bucs too. And when that unit is all together, they are just unstoppable.
Let's get to the next section of the matchup. Move things along here on Bucs Bonus. All right, talking about the running game. We were just talking about whether or not playoff Lenny's going to be in there. There on the top of your screen, Mr. Keyshawn Vaughn on the bottom of your screen. I believe that's Boston Scott, but they have really a 2 RB machine there in Philadelphia led by Miles Sanders and Boston Scott. The running game, this might be the one area where the Bucs are not as adept as the Philadelphia Eagles. You noted earlier, Karen, the number one rushing offense in the league.
Right, and I think that's, going to be a factor when you talk about, again, the weather. I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but if it is a rain game and we are going to the ground, I mean, the Eagles, that's their game plan anyways. That's sort of their bread and butter. So there's a comfortability there, and Bruce Arians is saying their run game, it travels well. And then, of course, with the Bucs, you do have the question marks of if Leonard Fournette is going to go or not. But then you've had Keyshawn Vaughn, and let's not forget about Le'Veon Bell, who are great players as well. So depending on who's in there and what they can establish in the run game, I do think it's going to be a big advantage if they can get Leonard Fournette back in the game. And
when it comes to stopping the very potent run offense of the Philadelphia Eagles, how about Mr. $73 million, Vita Vea, hopefully going to be ready to go for Sunday. No injury concerns with Vita Vea going into Sunday, correct, Karen? He should be good to go.
Yeah.
I was there at the game on this past Sunday, the regular season finale, and Vita Vea sitting out more reps than we have seen him sit out. So there might have been a little bit of resting going, just making sure that he was ready to go for the playoffs. I was looking for Vita Vea just because he was coming off of that great, well-deserved, we'll hit the applause button, well-deserved contract extension for Vita Vea. Hopefully ready to go for Sunday. And then lastly, we'll end out here, of course, talking pass catchers. And I'm talking about wide receivers and tight ends here on top of your screen. Yeah, number 13, we all know him well, Mr. Mike Evans. Bottom of your screen, a former Heisman Trophy winner, Devonta Smith, likely going to be the number one target for Jalen Hurts come Sunday. What do you make of the pass-catching matchup? Don't forget, with the Buccaneers, a very deep tight end core as well, led by Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, of course. As I mentioned, Cyril Grayson is the only player that's out. Of course, we know Chris Godwin is not in there either, and Antonio Brown also not involved in the offense either, or on the team. But you have Mike Evans, and you have Rob Gronkowski, you have Cam Brate, Rashad Perriman. I actually spoke with him this week. I have a one-on-one with him in our special that's coming up from 7 to 8. So that was a good chat I had with him, who's another one of the Bucs wide receivers. He's just a strong, physical guy, somebody who's with the Bucs before in 2019. And there's a lot of trust in him. Tom Brady trusts him a lot. Tom Brady trusts all of his guys, and he's built them up to have confidence in themselves. So whoever they have out there, I think is, going to be an incredible asset to the Bucs there. And, of course, leading the way, probably Mike Evans.
Looking forward to seeing if the high-octane Buccaneers passing offense going vertical, if they're ready to go, of course, on Sunday, and what that looks like for Brady now that they're ready. They're in playoff mode. All right, speaking of playoff mode, Karen Loftus in playoff mode, talking about that. We're going to talk about that special coming up on WFLA News Channel 8 in just a second. But Karen, before we wrap up here, do you have any inkling as to what we're going to see on Sunday? Blowout, close game, any predictions, something you're looking for?
I'm gonna go ahead and just throw out a score. I wrote down a score before this. I'm gonna say the Bucs win 34-13. We've talked about many times on this stream about that magic number of 30 points, and the Bucs are just scoring so much more at home, with the exception of the Saints game, of course, when they were shut out. But the Bucs are 7-1 at home. I feel very confident in how they've been able to play at home. This is their first home playoff game since 2008. They have not won a home playoff game since 2003, but this is a new era. This is the Tom Brady era. So I think they're going to add some more recent home playoff wins to their history on Sunday.
Looking forward to Raymond James getting packed for playoff football. Again, the pandemic impacting attendance over the course of especially, talking about last season, that Super Bowl run. So it's just going to be a wild atmosphere to see Ray J just roaring with Buccaneers fans screaming at the top of their lungs for Brady against the Eagles come Sunday. And really quick, Karen, before the super fans out there of WFLA News Channel 8, and of course, Dan Lucas, Karen Loftus, our great sports team here at WFLA Sports, you got a special coming up.
Yes, we do, from 7 to 8. It's going to be very just all Bucs playoff stuff. Like I said, I have a one-on-one with Rashad Perriman, which you don't want to miss. We talked to Jimmy Giles from the 79 team, which was their first playoff game against the Eagles, and they beat the Eagles at home that year. So that was cool to get in touch with him. And just talking about, again, the injuries, sort of breaking down different facets of the game. It's going to be really good. We're going to hear from Bruce Arians and the players and just get the table set for Sunday's matchup.
Yeah, no better station for it than your official Bucs station, WFLA News Channel 8, your NBC station here in Tampa Bay, giving you all the inside access to your defending, reigning Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Getting ready for Sunday. I'll be at the game. Karen, you'll be in studio. You'll be here. Where you're going to be?
I will be at the game.
Oh,
yes.
You'll be at the game. I think a lot of us here at WFLA are going to be at the game. Really looking forward to it, and hope to, of course, be talking about a win against the Eagles on our next edition of Bucs Bonus next week here on WFLA Now. That's going to wrap it up for us. For Karen Loftus, I'm JB Biunno. As always, we end our streams by saying, "Go Bucs."